with South America gone, we're in Central America, we've arrived in Panama, and we decided a while ago to have a bit of luxury at Christmas. It'd be a great way to break up all of the staying in hostels and bits and bobs like that. So we stayed at the Hard Rock Hotel, all inclusive, happy days. I think the only disadvantage there was the fact it was 35 floors up in the sky, which I'm sure Aaron didn't appreciate too much, but the views were very, very good. Panama's a very modern, bustling city. There's loads going on, loads to see and do. But again, for us, it was a case of recharging the batteries, chilling out. We'd go for a few walks to look at the old town and bits and pieces like that. We didn't do things like a Panama Canal trip or anything like that, purely because, well, two reasons. Number one, we never found anywhere that would do it because of the fact it was Christmas time. Secondly, we knew that in order to get through to Mexico, again, we'd be going over, on land. We'd at least go over the canal at some point. You kind of have to be fair. So that was good enough for us. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the details about doing too much in a 5-star hotel where everything's all inclusive. As you imagine, the food was good, the drinks were good, happy days. There was an infinity pool, various pools on, like the 30-something floor, 40th floor, whatever. Christmas Day itself was very busy, but do remember getting up early in the morning, about 7 o'clock. It's 33 degrees, sun's out, we're in a hot tub. The bar's already open, so, a Christmas strawberry daiquiri in hand, and happy days, chatting with the families. Christmas morning, they're both, all of them pretty much flicking the V at us because we're in the sunshine, having a great time, and they're freezing their nuts off back in England. Christmas Day, and again, our sort of tradition, UK tradition, whatever you want to call it, is pretty much you have your main meal at lunch. We went down to buffet, because it was just a buffet on the day at Christmas, went down for lunch, and there was no turkey. And we were a bit stunned by this. We were thinking, well, that's a bit of shit, isn't it? Christmas Day, there's no turkey at lunch. What's going on? Strange country. No turkey at lunch. And we were thinking, well, it could just be tradition. It could be whatever. We thought, well, it's lunchtime, stuff ourselves full of food, Christmas after all. So we'd done that. We stuffed ourselves full of food. Went back up and had just drinking daiquiris, I think, for most of the afternoon and, sitting by the pool with hundreds of other people that might as well have been there. And it got to quite late on dinner time and we thought, well, let's have a look, see what's on offer. And again, back into the restaurant, and there was turkey. There was all the trimmings, everything you can imagine. There was all the trimmings there. So we laughed. We had a very small plate of food. It'd be rude not to have turkey on Christmas Day. We had a very small plate of food, but we were laughing purely for the fact that, we hadn't anticipated that maybe in Latin America they might have their main meal in the evening rather than at lunchtime on Christmas anyway. Hey ho, it is what it is. But as I said, Panama City's a very cool city. We ended up doing a couple of really long walks because, why not? We ended up going to the Old Town, which is a fair few kilometres away. I had a really good walk around there. That was quite funky to see, looking at all the old churches and Malagon, the cathedral they've got there. And it's a very nice and pleasant walk around up and down the seafront as well. So it's quite a cool thing to do. Chilled out in the hotel quite a bit. I think we ended up seeing we ended up watching The Hobbit. There was a cinema attached. We ended up watching The Hobbit. From memory, it's about £4. Very good value for money. And it was in English, which is even better. Now, it'd only just been released, whatever part it was, I don't remember. But it'd only just been released, £4 to get in. I'm pretty sure it's a Panamanian equivalent of an IMAX as well. So top quality stuff. And I had all the subtitles in Spanish. So we were taken aback by that. Thought that was great value for money. And that's pretty much it for Panama City. Not a lot else to report. It's a mixture of us being purposely lazy, it being around Christmas time as well. But from there, we then decided to sort of create a bit of a plan. We knew we had to be in Cancun, I think by the 9th of February, if I'm not mistaken, 9th or 10th of February. Again, hindsight didn't really allow ourselves a lot of time to go through Central America, but we weren't really sure what to expect. We decided we didn't really want to spend too much more time in Panama, but we did have the issue of New Year's. Where would we be for New Year's? What would we do? Where would we stay? We had already decided we didn't want to do too much of Costa Rica. The reason for that is Costa Rica is very expensive. Is Costa Rica that good? That's a question that I'll leave you to decipher for yourself, or an answer for you to come up with. But the reason being that not just Lonely Planet, but from people that we'd met in Colombia, Ecuador, places like that, people have started in Central America and were coming down. We were, of course, going the other way. So there's a lot of conversations. People were talking about places they've been, what they've seen, what they've done. Most people have got a travelling mindset here, so they're trying to keep it as cheap as possible, but as good as possible. And a lot of people were saying pretty much the same thing. They said, well, everything you can get in Costa Rica, or everything you can do in Costa Rica within reason, you can do in Nicaragua. And they said Nicaragua's a lot cheaper. The people are probably friendlier. It's just a lot of people saying Nicaragua is a better country. Even the Lonely Planet guide at the time sort of suggested, they said Costa Rica is a fantastic place. Loads to see and do, loads of, incredible fauna, wildlife, bits and bobs, etc., etc. Loads to see and do, but, all of this, you can do quite a lot of this in Nicaragua as well. So that had made our mind up. Bear in mind we're sort of in a bit of a dilemma here. What do we do? Where do we go? We'd also heard good things about a place called Bocas del Toro, which is a set of islands just off the north coast of Panama as well. So we decided to head over to the wonderfully named David, great place name, and we thought we'd stay there for New Year's Eve. We'll keep it low key. We'll find the best hostel in town. Seemed like a decent place to walk around for a little bit. We spent a couple of nights there, seeing New Year's. We'd head up to Bocas del Toro, and then from there we'd go through Costa Rica and head up into Nicaragua. Now in David, don't really remember too much of it because it involved a lot of alcohol. It involved a multitude of drinking games, and it also involved a few Danish guys that had bought a lot of powdered goodies, shall we say. And yeah, the thing I remember pretty much about that was crawling up into a treehouse at about 8 o'clock in the morning, absolutely off my face, looking to go to sleep. And the fact that we'd also got the whole hostel playing, what was the card game called? I think it might have been called, it was called The River. We initially played it back in Paraguay, which had led us to a lot of mishaps with drink, shall we say. A game called Cross the River. It is absolutely bonkers, by the way, if you ever play it. And we also tried playing a game called Fires, but that wasn't that successful with this crowd. But yeah, played Cross the River and some other games that we'd been given as well. So we were kind of, I don't say like head of the show, but hostel life, New Year's life was revolving around what Aaron and I were doing, which was quite cool. It's quite nice to be at the centre of attention there. Apart from that, David itself, the place, I didn't really see much of it. The vibe at the hostel was very good, and most people at the hostel had the same idea. They weren't sure what to do for New Year's, so basically congregated at the best hostel in town. Everyone had a laugh. It was good times. It was a good experience. Really, there's not much else to say about that itself. But from David, we decided then it's New Year's 2015, whoopee, hello, happy days. We decided to head up to Bocas del Toro. Now, reason for that, it'd been given a good write-up. It was said to be quite a nice place to go round. Loads of different things and bits and pieces to see. A nice place to relax. I'll hold my hands up. Fucking hate that place. Just everything about it was really annoying. It was difficult to get from A to B. People were rude. The people we were hanging out with, in and around in the hostel were not, really that good. It was just an absolute pain in the ass, that place, to be honest. The boat trip from the mainland across to Bocas del Toro itself was quite cool. It was quite nice. There was quite a cool nature reserve on the island as well. But it just wasn't a lot to see and do there. And it was very difficult to hail a cab. It's no public transport, no places to rent out bikes or anything like that. Now, maybe this was because, number one, we're trying to do it on a budget. Number two, it had just gone into the new year and everyone's still in party mode. And there's a lot of gringos there as well. And we had no intention of going on boating trips all around the other islands. It was just, there was nothing we felt that we would be able to see that we hadn't already just seen in the Galapagos. So again, you can start to see that this mentality is starting to creep back in of, well, we've seen X, Y, and Z. Why would we necessarily want to see that again? It doesn't quite make sense. A few days in Bocas del Toro, they came and went. Ended up hanging around with a couple of German girls. They were quite funky, apart from the fact that our shopping bill was about $70 because they didn't want to use local produce to cook. And they wanted to get all the foreign importy stuff, which, lesson learned. If you're going to go shopping, do it yourself. If you're travelling, get your stuff in as cheap as you can. And always use local ingredients, please. Don't just buy, the foreign import stuff just because you recognise it from Europe. Pain in the ass. Costs a lot more as well. Plus the local stuff, the culinary delights in that part of the world truly are magnificent. So we learnt that lesson the hard way. I think I gawped at the bill when we were given it. Anyway, Bocas del Toro done. Its saving grace was the beach was quite nice. From there, it was a case of trying to get through to Nicaragua as quickly as possible. Because we started the day in Bocas del Toro, Bocas del Toro, get my words right. We knew getting through to Nicaragua in a day would be incredibly tricky, so we decided to break up the journey, at least have an evening in the capital of Costa Rica, San Jose, in order to recharge the batteries. Then it was a case of getting up early the following day, heading off to Nicaragua. At least that was the plan. The day started okay. We got on the boat, got back to the mainland on Panama, picked up the bus over to a place called Limon, which is on the Caribbean side of Costa Rica. And it was in Limon that we started to have issues in terms of buses. There was naff all going on. We'd been dropped off at Limon, told that there was a connecting bus service at some point. What we weren't told was that the connection wait time is about 4 hours. Again, not ideal. If we'd have known that at the start, we probably would have done something different, like gone back to David, and because that's on the Pan American Highway, and gone up that way. But we weren't told this. Not good. And there's a busload of us, by the way. We're sat in the bus station in Limon. It's quite a nice town. We ended up having a little walk around it, right on the coast again. Nice little bus station, nice main plazas, bits and bobs like that. Almost in horror that I saw a KFC and a McDonald's there, by the way. I think the other reason why people might not like Costa Rica that much, with all due respect, is it's too Americanized. It's almost like the United States is bitch, that place. Maybe that's Mexico, maybe it's Costa Rica, but it seems like the world and his wife decide that they want to go to Costa Rica because that's the place to go. And again, from a traveling mindset, if you've been around that area before, you'll kind of know that, well, if you're just going to Nicaragua, it's equally as good, if not better, because there's a lot more local people there than too many tourists. It's never cool being around too many tourists, with all due respect. Anyway, the bus station at Limon, fantastic, wonderful place. It was a nice little town, in all fairness. But as you imagine, people are getting a bit cheesed off here. What's going on? No buses turning up. We need to get to San Jose. What's going on? Long story cut short, spoiler alert, we ended up getting the bus. It turned up. People were very pissed off at the time. We got into the centre of San Jose. A few of us jumped in the cab. We'd already booked a hostel anyway. Got off at the hostel, checked the bags in, there for one evening, good times. Went for a walk that evening, walked around a few shopping malls, not really a lot to see and do. Again, we've arrived at night, there's a few of us there, we're all a bit hungry, just walked around for, try and find things as cheap as possible. Again, it's difficult to try and explain how expensive Costa Rica actually is. Bear in mind, we've just been to places like Bolivia, Peru's relatively inexpensive, all of it's relatively inexpensive. Of course, Argentina being like the holy grail at the time. To come into a place where you're going into like a market and you're paying like £5 or £6, not dollars, £5 or £6 for some food. And you're thinking, well, that's, good job we sort of didn't budget to come to Costa Rica. It would have been wiped out. So we ended up having some fried chicken somewhere, not at KFC, at a local, fried chicken place. By the way, which Latin Americans are very good at doing fried chicken, I won't lie. Quality, great fried chicken, because it's not too greasy and it tastes fantastic. Anyway, that was that done. Got some food, headed back to the hostel. That's where we're going to leave that journey, because as we've always said, you must heed the advice of people, and it was on this occasion that yours truly decided not to heed the advice, and it nearly cost us in a big way the following day. That's for next time. So join us next week to see if we can finally and safely make it into the wonderful country that is Nicaragua. Hasta luego.